For a second.
Okay. Okay, so welcome everybody to our Broadband Committee meeting. We just have Don on Zoom, or is anybody else?
So far, so good. Yep.
Okay, and Don can see us. We can't see him. You can see Don.
Yep. Don's looking like he usually does, except it's in a
And do you
vehicle.
know Don? Mary
I met him years ago. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's been
So-
quite a while. Yep.
Mary Ellen. Nice to have you in person.
So
Well,
going through
I'm
his
glad I
cell
can
phone.
make it. I can't always make them, so I feel
Yeah,
bad. but
no, I get it. I get it. So most of the focus today will be on the RFP, and also I want on discussion around trying to get the survey out and use that opportunity at the polls. But we do have a little business to do to approve the minutes of May 19th that Evan prepared. I wasn't at that meeting. Do we have a motion to approve them?
Make a motion to approve. Second, we're taking turns.
Okay. All in favor? Who was
Aye.
here? Okay. So moved. We might want to, I was looking at some other towns and what they do for minutes, and I know you're you're very efficient, but it might be good to elaborate a little bit more in terms of what the discussion was, so people have a sense of it. Your sense was that Damerscotta didn't do that. You could always go back to the recording,
They
but
didn't even have minutes for anything,
Damerscotta didn't.
just their selectmen's meetings. So anything else, they just had the meeting recording.
Because I saw a very nice lineup for both, I think it was for the mid-coast and also internet, and also for what Bremen did. And it provides a good record. Well, anyway, why don't we, you take a stab at it, keep doing it, and I'll, if I have other stuff that I've written down in my notes, I might add to it for the next meeting.
What was the date of the last one? Was it the
The
19th?
19th, yeah. Okay. So I did make copies of the, we're moving on to the RFP. We're trying to do a joint RFP of the three towns. So far, we don't have any, do we have any more information about Woolwich and Dresden's applications?
No.
You don't have,
We touched base on it last week, but didn't get the chance to email Stephanie.
yeah, because that will, I mean,
I'll send an email to the 10 admins right now and see if
see if they know
they
anything.
get back to us or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, Judy met with Daniel yesterday, but I don't have a complete update on that.
Yeah, and I figure if we haven't heard anything, then they haven't gotten anything.
Right. But the idea was to move ahead anyway with the infrastructure RFP. And we don't have to do anything on the digital equity RFP. We can make a sole source to National Digital Equity Center because it comes under the requirement. The amount comes under the requirement for putting it out to bid. So Evan and I had a little bit of a disconnect on this RFP. I thought he was going to start the edits, and I think he thought I was going to start.
No, I
the
would
edits.
planned on starting the edits. I just sent it over to if you had time, but it
Yeah.
got lost in the sauce. So
So we still have to, what
Edit
you
it
have
out.
here is example from Searsport, right? Or was
Yep.
it Searsmont? And you picked this one, why, most.
the only one
probably
we could
most-
get.
Yeah, you could get. Okay,
So
that did it.
that's fair for a template.
I mean, I think the goal is to make it as simple as possible. When I started looking at it, I thought I brought it with me. My version that I had started to mark up a little bit. Boy, did I not bring this? that there was a lot of stuff that we probably didn't need in it. Oh, here it is. And some of it duplicated what Susan Corbett will be doing.
Yep.
Okay.
And so, I don't know, we should talk about it, but it sounds like they've got extra stuff in there. I did, for example, and we might just go through a few of these things now, and then we'll come back at the next meeting with a proposed draft of what we want to do. But
I'd like to see if we can get it approved and sent to the to Dennis and the other town admins before the next meeting, if we can.
that would be, you don't want the committee to see it before, or we
No,
send
we
it
can
out?
circulate it on email, I think. I don't think that's gonna ultimately screw us up. I don't think we're in violation of a public meeting or anything.
So can you turn this into like a Word document or something, or is this a
Right.
Word
Right.
document?
That's what you sent me, actually, right? I believe.
I can't remember what.
Yeah, I
it
know.
looked like. It was Monday morning.
You
was
sent it
Monday-
out in Google.
Tuesday morning.
Yeah, I did that too. And then,
Okay.
well, she had to, it was Searsport had scanned it, so I needed a actual PDF converter to take all the words out of it so it could be editable.
Okay.
Oh,
All right, making progress, step at a time here.
okay, we're getting there. Some of the stuff going down under scope of services. How much of the detail do we need around a written plan on the assets in the 3 counties or in the 3 towns?
Yeah, that's will be the interesting part.
Versus what 2 of the towns already had an initial survey done by Axiom, Woolwich has had nothing. So
So
that's,
that might be a thing we might want to edit. And that's something that Marty, myself, and Larry have talked about, volunteering time to go and look for any gaps that we might need to see on the ground.
yeah.
So that
Okay.
would be one less thing they would have to do.
Correct.
So wouldn't that?
As long as we do it accurately.
No, because he didn't even intend on doing it in the first place.
Well, what he gave us last time was just kind of a rough sketch.
Yeah.
of what he knows, what Spectrum had for line.
Yeah, he couldn't rely on that.
Because it
Yeah.
sounds to me like the more holes we can find in Wiscasset, the
Right.
better off we are.
That's
Right.
exactly right.
But I think ultimately
That's the
we're,
priority for funding.
I don't know how many individual houses we'll find, but yeah, I don't think the number is very high to begin with.
And likely for this, I mean, the area that is most attractive is in Dresden, the pocket of unserved areas in Dresden.
I bet the Woolwich has got,
Yeah,
Okay.
they've similar areas right along River Road on,
yeah,
Woolwich does too, but they haven't identified any of it yet, right? They just.
they've got a better map provided by Comcast than Spectrum puts out. So I've got a copy of that somewhere in here.
Okay, so you're gonna do just Wiscasset, or you're gonna do, or
Well, we'll have to talk with Mark or whoever, because ultimately when we're talking about applying for a grant later on, I think it'll come up more than particularly for Wiscasset.
do we know, I haven't checked whether how this also fits with what the town requires for RFPs. Do they have any guidelines or rules or
I'm not
things that we need to
positive.
know about?
That's why I think we could
Getting it.
we can, get it ready, email it out. Everybody has a chance to look at it, address anything anybody else would like to add, and then we'll put it into the admins and Dennis to look for any more edits that they need to address.
And for the other towns to get compatibility with the other towns, if we're doing a joint RFP, we'd have to get that information from each town, right? in terms of their process or anything that they require. You know,
Wiscasset's the only hard one, I think. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna, I agree with you. Yeah, I don't think Dresden. and-
Wiscasset's the only hoop we have to jump through. Dresden and Woolwich, we basically show up and they say, yep,
But you're gonna send it out.
Does
as
Don
a-
agree with that?
Don?
Unfortunately, I do.
But you send us out a draft, so. you're
and
not-
we have
you know,
Wally finally in the meeting too. I just see him pop up. So hi, Wally, if you can hear us.
Well, you'll send us out a draft, so
Right,
if they need to say, hey.
Everybody else is
Yeah,
fine,
perfect.
except for you
Hey, guys.
Sorry, I got something in my throat, so I might as well cover my.
I don't know if I can breathe as well with this on, but,
Do you see anything missing out of this?
we're just gonna have to add, so I had that one print sheet that I think I circulated as a hard copy, and I think I might have emailed it as to specific things that Mark was gonna address in his proposal, so we want that as the bare minimum to add in there, so there might be, and I don't have a copy in front of me. I have to
So
look for it.
basically, this is all what they're asking for outside of everything else that says you've got to be able to correct whatever we think needs to be corrected and
Essentially, we just need to make this for Wiscasset and not Searsport.
Was this submitted to Axiom? You know? Did they get
No
a
idea.
copy?
They might have. This particular
Yeah.
Searsport
yeah,
plan,
just
yeah, I
wondering
don't
if
know.
I have no idea.
now, is this the one you're sending out to a bunch of vendors?
Axiom, Mission Broadband, Tilson Technologies, and Casco Bay Advisors are the big four.
is this considered, there are different levels of grants. I didn't realize that. There's the planning grant, the infrastructure grant. and What's the third one? There was another bucket.
Startup,
And what's a startup?
It's a tiny thing.
yeah, that's what Dresden and Woolwich are applied for,
It's like $5,000.
5,000.
And the planning one is for the more detailed layout
Yeah.
of the network, which is
And-
where we're at right now.
Yeah, and last time I talked to, wasn't you, it might have been either Peggy or Stephanie, but they said that there was no planning grant round or money open right now.
So that's why you went
So
with.
that's why we went the only place we could.
Is that with the state or with the federal?
Yep, Connect Main State.
Okay, so we're still on target for what we're gonna produce for what the grants for Woolwich and.
Yep, they'll still have enough money to cover everything.
You've got other money. They've.
They've
allocated other-
they've put in 7,500, and if they get to 5, then that'll be 12,005, and then this plus the digital equity puts them at 9,500. Right? I think that's what we're all figuring.
Okay, so they have money.
7,000 for the plan is what we're hoping,
Mhm.
and then the digital equity will be, actually won't be 25
Should
because
be
it'll
lower
be
if we
1,500.
go, yeah. if we
So
all
it'll be
go together.
85, so they should have 4,000 left over.
Mm.
Ideally,
Okay.
and especially since Lincoln County Planning let us use their Survey Monkey, we don't have to pay for that. And then we
Thank you.
haven't addressed
It's
doing
in
it.
there, not used enough, so happy to make it useful. Yeah.
Oh, I can't, this match is driving me nuts. Can't breathe, right? So we'll work on that and particularly get in there what we wanted from Mark and the others, you know, the other vendors, if they're going to bid on it, would also have to be able to do that. And he had things in there for the financing of it, options. I'm trying to remember, I should have brought
Yeah, I'm
his
trying to see if I can
RFP.
pull it up as well.
He had costing out of likely what it's gonna cost for all the premises.
And pro forma revenue predictions. I don't know if you said that.
Yeah,
Okay, this is what he wrote. Mapping of existing network assets. We have been asked, and it may be difficult to ascertain fiber strand counts, but we will attempt to do so. Mapping a new fiber network architecture. Benefits of fiber breakdown, benefits of a public utility or public/community ownership model. Current incumbents, should you overbuild? Can you access LCI's assets? Financial modeling, 5-year operating model, including revenue and expense projections, in consideration of financial instruments to help pay for the system include 20-year amortization schedule that includes projected revenue and bond payments. And then available grants and assistance, identifying assist grant opportunities. Additional ongoing Axiom support, participating in community broadband meetings, participate in public facing meetings as desired, grant support is needed, presentations to the Board of Selectmen as needed. $7,500 each or $7,000 if all 3 communities participate.
So that's what they provided for Rockport and what they were provided for Southport. And it's probably it's their boilerplate for what they're doing now, probably for all the towns that asked for this. But
Right.
so our task for the next week or so is, or less, is to get this out to everybody and get your feedback. And
So like you suggested, you can move some of these things out that have to do with digital training and move
Yep.
some of that language in that you haven't just covered, so that it's as specific as you want it to be.
Identify available public computer access locations through the town. We kind of know where they are, right?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We don't need, or it will be covered by
Right.
Susan.
so.
And then so then once we get through all the edits, now we just need to think about what the timeline is for getting it back. Most importantly, what the deadline is for the proposal. I'm trying to see if they had a date when they sent this out.
And I'm just wondering if the towns have any legal thing that says you have to give a certain amount of time for an RFP to go
I
on.
don't think so.
Yeah,
No,
Not this small scale.
okay,
I
yeah.
mean, if we were bigger cities, they would probably.
Or if it was a big construction deal and not something already basically paid for.
okay. So, Don, I can't see you, Don, but do you have any questions?
No,
Good.
looks pretty straightforward. I want to take a look at, I want to print it out and take a look at the hard copy, but
Yep.
that should only take a day or two anyway.
So the
No,
other select board,
Looks pretty straightforward.
What were you gonna say, Marty?
the other town managers agreed to send it out,
They're gonna
If we
all
agree
get
with
the chance to look at it.
right?
So,
And if they agreed, then we'll.
Yep. yep, we'll put it all together.
Okay, so any other questions on this? Please look in your email for our request for you to look at the draft and get us the feedback as soon as possible.
And how long, I don't know if you're talking with Mark about this, but how long is this gonna take? Once it gets started.
We're not sure, and you know how busy he is.
Yeah.
So- I was going to check in with him on that
Okay,
because,
okay.
because we could be waiting before he's gonna get to it if he's selected.
Okay,
Seems to me like it was less than a month.
to do all this.
Yeah,
Well, a lot of it's boilerplate. All he has to do
Yeah.
is, he's got it set up for all the performers and this and that. So all he has to do is input certain data for the towns, and that's, it should be pretty easy.
Financial market make a difference in some of the results they give us because the bond prices are going up.
that part could change, but yeah, it'll be interesting what the municipal bond rates are and what they're forecasted to be.
Mhm.
I like the idea, aside from all the straightforward stuff, I like the idea of having the consultant and the committee meet with each board of selectmen, because this is an observation from the Newcastle piece, is that the more you're sharing with your select people, even if you haven't finalized anything, but you're still, you're bringing all these good thoughts and details from a consultant, don't keep them to yourself. So I like the idea of sharing it with because you're gonna need the selectmen support as you go
Yeah,
forward,
usually
so-
Dusty, he's the representative from the select board. And usually, today he couldn't be here, and I think,
Yeah, but you could have three new different ones
yeah, we could.
in very few days.
Right, that's why I suggested that we meet with them after this, the select board and us meet with them to bring them up to speed
with the new select
with the new
board.
select board. Yeah.
I would encourage as much communication with the select board as possible,
Yep,
without making it, yeah.
After next week.
Yes.
Yeah, we had some initially, in terms of the education about what is
I did.
broadband.
All that-
Why
I did
is it
see Bill
important?
Maloney and
all
my
that
brother
basic
at
stuff.
the service on
Yeah,
Memorial Day, and
But
I
if you keep the
told
selectmen
them I
to the
had some
side
paperwork for them,
and
and
keep a
we had them
report,
on our
it can work
radar.
out.
We hope they
Yeah,
were,
no, I get it.
we were on
I
their
get it.
radar. so to speak.
good.
Any other thoughts about this? Mary Ellen's been at this for a while. I think those are good suggestions. Make sure that the select board is informed all the time.
Yeah, you're not asking them for decisions all the time, but you're informing them, because at some point you are gonna come back.
Right,
And
and I
ask
think
them.
after, Don, when is Dresden's town meeting?
I think they already heard it.
Or did you guys already have it?
The election is on the 14th and the town meeting is that following Saturday.
Gotcha. So Woolwich has done theirs, we'll have ours done on the 14th, and you'll have it done on Saturday. So once all that's done, then everybody can settle down, and then we can have the new boards assembled and then do a bigger talk as things start to get hotter, but definitely give people a little soft intro as to what we're doing.
We certainly will get our hard questions from them.
From the select board. Oh, yeah.
I think we need more than a 5-minute presentation at a regular board meeting. I mean, they're thinking of a
Well,
lot
I
of
mean,
other things. I think we need a separate meeting with them.
I think we meet with them about what the RFP, what we want from the RFP and the different models and the financing and the potential for this, for going after any of the federal money.
How long do you think we have to wait for the response to the RFP?
That's what we're just talking about, 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It's hard to say.
In 3 to 4 weeks.
And I mean, these consultants are doing a number of these, so
Like
it's
that,
not, again, it's kind of,
Yeah, it's not, definitely not from scratch.
yeah,
And it's getting easier and easier to do.
right. But I can,
But we need to share a deadline.
We need to, yeah.
I'm just writing a note, if Mark were to do it, what he would see the window is for doing it if we get it out in the next couple
That
of
too.
weeks.
So,
When you asked that when you do the RFP, right? Is that
yeah,
what
right
you
on the
do?
bottom of this RFP submission deadline, and I didn't
Okay.
see it, they didn't, when Searsport put this out, they didn't put a date on there, so I was trying to see what they did, but they didn't address when it was sent.
Okay. But we're looking at getting the work done, actually getting.
Yeah, that's the next
getting
part
it
too.
in. Anything else on this?
So is that part of the RFP?
Yes,
When you can get it done?
Oh, right.
yeah, that will address that too.
So it specifies a performance period.
Yeah, we'll put that in there as well. I think rather than saying, giving them a limit, I think we should ask them what their estimate would be, rather than giving somebody a bigger window than necessary. Thoughts?
We don't want a big, right, no big.
Right.
windows, Right.
No big windows at all, maybe just say, what is your
Yeah.
firm and estimate on timeline?
Yeah,
One sense, I don't know whether this is gonna work out, but the next MCA grant deadline is likely to be sometime in October. So if the gods are with you, the consultant gods are with you.
maybe quick,
Yeah, but don't.
because we can't go in there without knowing what the financing.
You gotta have it all together, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So whether October is too quick for you.
Have they talked about what the one, if there's one planned after October, or is it just,
They didn't say anything about that.
There are two pots of money. There's the ARPA and then the infrastructure money. The infrastructure money, has that hit yet? Because that's the bigger pot.
So I don't know, which ARPA money are you talking about?
The one that's already, doesn't the state have money from the first round of ARPA money, the Recovery Act?
Well, it would have gone into a lot of different pots, right? The governor put money into a recovery plan. I mean, they've already allocated the funding, And I can't
But
always.
they
follow the
allocated
functions
some
that-
of it to connectivity authority.
So that's in the pot, right, along joining what's the other 120 odd million coming, so. What they're proposing to do is have their first big round in October with awards by December, so they haven't thought beyond that, so.
I doubt that we're gonna be ready. for
Yeah, I
that.
doubt that
Okay.
too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's a good consideration. then.
But you never know when things might go
And-
crazy.
Well,
But do
I
If
you-
mean,
you're gonna need
it's
to-
educating the town, educating the select board,
Right.
looking that we're all on the same page here for,
but do you need,
Getting all the
Do
money
you-
lined up, well, yeah.
yeah, do you need the approval of the town before you
Yes,
get the grant?
yes,
So we would have to have a special meeting.
you have to have a,
before-
yes, referendum.
we'd either have to have a special town meeting or have a referendum on November general election day,
Yeah, so.
sometime
So
separate.
we don't have any idea what we're gonna ask the town for
Nope.
yet.
No.
Until we get.
And that's
those back.
the,
Right.
yeah, timeline of the RFP, and then we'll know better.
Okay, right, good to know.
And also, we want to see how the Southport one ends up. Might affect how we look at things.
That's why I think we're better off to do it in November. If we can get it all together by then.
Yeah, it could be possible.
I mean, you're pushing for a special meeting, but what could happen in Southport could happen here too.
Yep.
Which you don't want to happen, so if we got it passed at a regular election, we'd have a lot more merit.
Even that may be challenging because Southport, in some different manner, spent, a few years getting to where they are
Right.
today. So, so I think assuming that we would have a positive vote from even the selectmen to invest this way or that way, I just think it's gonna take longer.
I think it's gonna, November is too soon from my point of
I
view.
think that's right. I mean, we're already getting a lot of good discussion about how many new projects should Wisconsin voters be approving and on the warrant and all this other good stuff. So I think it would take a good effort here to convince them that investing in broadband is important. But they were just gotten done possibly allocating $2 million for capital improvements. So
Wouldn't the contractors be anxious to get some of their product out on the street?
If it was Muni owned, then it's just on us. So yes, we would then be not necessarily the contractor, but the owner of the thing, so we would want it to happen quickly,
Yes, but we're gonna have to hire somebody to do it.
Yes,
right?
yes,
And it would,
absolutely.
that's all done through usually the company that's gonna set it up organizes all that, so there'll be other finer tuned things that will also be difficult. More importantly is different pole licensing issues and insurance for the system.
I mean, there's,
Well, certainly there are companies on the outside now salivating on what's gonna take place.
Yeah. Well, I think they're not in any short of work though, so I don't think no one's thinking too far ahead because they're got so much work that they don't have to look up for a long time.
and it's possible if you end up keeping the three towns together and sticking with one plan, let's say Muni, and there's likely to be a higher level of match from the state.
We're hoping.
For these grants because it would be municipally owned. Like Somerville was getting a little bit of money from Connect Me because they were municipally owned. And I think those, whether it's regional or municipal owned, I think they're gonna be factors in awarding.
yeah, both of, that's a factor in the regional part. Is a
Right, so if
factor.
you keep moving in
The downside is we don't have as much unserved areas as some of the other towns might.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
are more desperate, but we just have to keep moving
yeah,
ahead
I agree with you, yeah.
and hope that we could put the best plan forward. And if others are not ready, maybe they need to get the money out and we'd be in line. But
Yeah, it's hard
You
to
never
predict
know.
everything, but yeah.
you never know. Well, are we good on this until we get out the RFP? Does anybody have any other
Well,
questions?
until I see the final draft of what you're gonna put out.
Oh, yeah, no, it wouldn't be a final, it would
And
be a draft.
you're gonna
for-
be able, you can view a fine on your computer.
Mhm.
Good. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and we'll look for input from everybody before a real final gets done. We put out an edited version that we think is good, but Okay, moving right along. This one is timely. The dissemination of the survey at the polls and other venues. I wasn't at the last meeting. Evan, you said you talked a lot about the revised survey that you all did. Is that correct?
I think we've covered it well.
The only thing I didn't see was,
Woolwich has been communicating by email, and they're all committed to drawing up time slots for election day, so they've got their thing covered. Don and Judy and Peter have been working on getting theirs out on their end, so then I've just gotta prepare a press release for next week's newspaper. Couldn't meet this week's deadline because it was on Friday at 5 PM because of Memorial Day.
do we, in Wiscasset, if we get it out, are you working with the town to get, did you say to get it out here online?
I'm gonna email them to put it on their website,
Okay,
and I don't know if Wiscasset has a town Facebook, official town Facebook.
I don't think they have anybody in charge of any electronic dissemination. to be
Yeah, and
honest
then
with
there's
you.
just the Wiscasset community page, so that's the 3 areas, we'll put it out there, and then any other people that wanna.
so, but if
If
we,
you got a
Chamber of
hold of
Commerce.
Dwayne Good, he probably could put it
Yep.
out on the
I
community.
bet he'd
center.
put it on the community
Chamber of
center.
Commerce. would
Yep,
Facebook
Chamber of
and all
Commerce
that
would.
stuff, yep.
so the other thing is if we see people and we give them, and they don't want to fill it out, but they might take a copy of it to mail back. We're not providing postage, but,
No.
or if they want to drop it off.
They can just drop it off. We'll just tell somebody to, if any come in, just to save them for us.
Okay. And maybe give them
wonder-
the address of the town office if they decide they want to mail it in, which is probably, who knows?
I don't think it's.
I wonder if we could get permission to use the absentee ballot box after the election.
That might be a thing too. I don't think we have to worry too much about paper copies.
What, that people won't.
I
What-
just don't anticipate more than 24.
How
people
do
filling
you
out
see
paper
it?
ones.
Okay, so if I go to the polls, do I just give them the link to the website in the town? I
I've
mean,
got a flyer drawn up so people can take away the flyer, or they can take the back and front page copy with them, and they can fill it out there, or they can fill it out later,
okay,
bring it back.
Or they can go online and
Yeah, or they can, go right online and do it
Okay.
themselves.
what I didn't see is an explanation on the survey in terms of an intro. I did just copy, I don't think, Don doesn't have it, I thought you'd be physically here, Don. Wally,
They've typed one up for Dresden, so I can pull that one up and.
yeah, these were examples from Leeds and Bremen, if anybody wants to see it and has an opinion.
A little bit, this would be a cover sheet or something.
Yeah, just saying what this is about. Bremen's is longer, Leeds is very, yeah, I'll just take one for me to make sure I have it. Shorter
I-
seems better, but Leeds is very, I can read Leeds.
I'll, see if I can find the damn thing.
But for Don's benefit, Leeds says, please help the Leeds Select Board and Internet Committee by telling us your thoughts about internet service in our town. Please answer each question as it applies to your household, I added, or premise. Thank you. You may skip any questions. That was very brief. The intro to Bremen says, the Broadband Committee for the town of Wiscasset, pointed in, and I don't remember when we were appointed, is conducting a survey to collect information about the town's current status and needs for internet service. We plan to apply for state grants to bring high-speed fiber optic internet to the whole town. Community input is critical to a successful application. Please take a few minutes to complete a survey and then return completed surveys to the town. And then they go on to talk about, your physical address of residence is required for identifying current internet status. We don't really need that, do we?
No,
And
we've put in, where is it at on the bot, where is it?
for them to take the survey.
Disclosure is quiet, yeah, we put it on there for road or address.
Yeah, I don't, Don doesn't have a copy of this. I didn't email. I think I emailed, I may have sent one to, no, I don't think I sent it to Wally either. He got the RFP.
I'm printing out some copies of the flyer I made for
Okay,
this group.
that
I'll
would
be
be
right
good.
back.
A question is whether anybody can, I don't think, Evan's going to be in California the week of the election.
I'm gonna be
And you're going to
covering
be doing our power,
Yeah.
right?
in Farmingdale, yeah.
So, I don't know, Larry, you want to help me out at the polls?
What day of the week is the 14th?
Tuesday.
So, should be. a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So are you just handing these out or handing out the cards that have the link to the?
I think he has a flyer that will
Okay,
hand
yeah,
out.
yeah.
And of course, anybody that doesn't have a digital connection can't do it that way. You've got to have some, I think, some physical copies.
Well, I don't know what the folks at the senior center or anywhere else, I know in Newcastle, other towns have mailed out the paper survey because they knew they had so many without, they just come to them, people to either mail it back or drop it off at the town office, so.
Yeah, we didn't get a big return on the comprehensive plan when that was mailed out with a postcard that's,
Yes,
so then,
plan there.
and it costs a lot to do that, so.
Right, but if you have some printed copies available and even giving them out at the town meeting or
Right.
there, at least it's a sense of, oh, there is a demand for it, or we are getting them out, or
Right,
making them available at the library, just to try to.
no, we'll put them around town, definitely put them
Yeah,
around
at the
town.
last election, we handed out about 100. I'm not sure how many we got back.
Yeah, it's hard to get them back.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But truthfully, it's a way of engaging people and talking about broadband.
Right, the
It's-
numbers
That's
aren't
more
always
important than actually getting them back.
Right, but getting out there, yep.
So I never saw it that we would actually, do a big
Getting
count on what we
25%
got
or
back, or,
30% or something.
somebody said this, somebody said that.
Yeah.
It's more a discussion, I think, and opening up the fact for education.
So how long do you intend to be there?
I don't know. I
Well,
mean,
they
the
open at 8
mornings,
in the morning and they don't close till 8 at night.
right, so it depends how long, if I have anybody else to help out. I think the busiest times probably are in the morning and after work. So those would be critical, I think, to try to cover.
Is your fans
With
big? Yeah.
people working more at
Quick-
home, it's
Quick
not,
flyer for takeaways.
it's not as much that pattern as it used to be. So,
If you can have a table.
yeah, no, I gotta set up a table. I gotta get a table. Marty, you know the ins and outs of getting a table. Maybe we could talk about it.
Yeah, you just ask.
Just ask
Linda.
Dwayne,
No, Linda Perry,
Linda Perry. Yeah,
but she's in charge of the
Of
election,
the election, okay.
okay,
and Dwayne will set it up for Bob.
okay.
And there's
So-
plenty of tables up there.
But I should have
Yeah,
some.
Stan Dresden
physical
has to do her own.
So I should have some physical copies there in case people just don't have access. But I would say if we could try to cover at least the early at 8 o'clock. What's your experience, Marty? You've done a lot of polling there.
It's hard to say. It
Yeah.
comes in waves.
Especially since COVID, people are just doing it absentee and
Yeah, there's a lot of absentee. Yeah, it's hard to say. Sometimes they come around noon, sometimes in the middle of the afternoon. It's crazy.
Would the town allow you to put this on the counter for anybody picking up absentee ballots?
yep, I think we can just plan on putting it out there for,
Well, they're giving them out now, so it
yeah,
could be
for like
from now on.
for like 2 months, yeah. We can just have it out there.
And you're gonna do
We can
a,
post these
were
around
you
town
gonna
as well.
do a written survey they could send in by mail on the backside?
No, we'll just have a stack of them that people can take.
And you have them all ready?
No. They can be made in less than 7 minutes at the drop of a hat.
At town office, when they pick up absentee ballot, that's what you're suggesting.
Yeah, and that could be from now until 2 days
Till-
before the
yeah.
election.
Well, no, we can just plan on having these for 2 months out.
Yep.
So you're not hitting people who don't have internet.
Right,
So how do we hit those people?
right. What are we asking? What's the
Well-
confusion? I have no idea.
My question was, could we currently put
Yeah.
these out until the election?
We can put them out until after the election. The election is just our biggest PR
Right.
moment.
Right, but.
Yeah.
It would target people who are.
Yep.
Getting absentee ballots, and that won't be there where we
Yeah.
are.
Precisely,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, my problem is that you're not reaching people without computer access.
Yeah, that's why we're putting out the newspaper thing, so we can only hope to do so well at the end of the day.
Well, the other thing I was thinking of, it wouldn't take too long to hand them out at the trailer parks.
Yeah,
Some people have dishes, some people aren't connected, some people might have PCL, so
the other thing
you
is,
get to hand out this and the questionnaire.
Right.
Yeah, we can do that.
we can also combine it with trying to start our outreach to chat with groups about,
Yeah, but we
Broadband.
gotta know what we're talking about before we do that, and right now.
Well-
No, I
don't
think
know
right
what to
now we
say.
can just start with the survey part and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and baseline, we just want to have faster service
And
that's
thi-
more reliable.
and this will give us the information
And
to
this will,
give you the
this is helpful information to figure out what people are paying on average and how many different people are affected and that type of thing.
it also could be education that people don't really know what fiber is, you know,
Yeah.
so it can be an introduction if you're going to a group to just say, this is what we're doing, we're sorting out what this costs, this is what's happening in Maine. It's an opportunity with extra resources coming into the state that we haven't had. We don't know what the final plan, we're working on it, we don't know the cost yet, but.
But we do know if we don't have a plan, we won't get state or federal
Right,
money.
right,
I think, that's what I'm gonna tell people.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it,
If we don't put our hand out, nobody's gonna put anything in it.
exactly, exactly.
And that's the order of operations is,
Well put.
And you're
I
gonna-
think that's a good way to capture this. But the more people realize that there is a broadband committee, it's a really important issue.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about, even though we can't tell them what it means for the town or the town's budget or their tax, implications, whatever, we can't get there yet. But we can talk about it.
Yeah, but once you finalize the RFP, you'll feel much better about. The fact is you'll have a plan in 3 months or 4 months or whatever it may be, and you'll be holding meetings after that, so,
Right.
yeah.
And our objective is to get faster speeds at lower cost.
Their dream,
And that's what we need the information for.
That's well put. I'm writing down.
Yeah, I would like to have a comparison of the high-speed broadband internet against a spectrum delivery.
Well,
It's the difference between an egg and a dozen eggs to me.
it's also the reliability. It's not just speed. It's the reliability of one technology versus another, which,
I think a lot of them, if they knew that they were going to get an individual strand of optic coming into their house and they were not going to be on a party line anymore.
right,
And that's what it amounts to, a party line as opposed to a private phone line.
Yep.
And try to keep this as simple as possible, I think. There's nothing simple about this.
I'm with you, Larry, yeah.
But I know the kind of questions I'm gonna get, and I know I'm not gonna have the answers to them, and that's frustrating to me.
yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
So
Um,
if I'm gonna sit there for 8 hours,
I don't think well, I don't know. I'm not planning to sit there for 8 hours, but maybe I'll come and go a bit. There's only so much we can do, so. But anyway, Don, are you all planning to cover the polls or have something at the polls?
Yeah, I have to look at, because I'm running, I don't know if I can sit there, but I'll be talking with Peter and Judy in particular, as well as Daniel on having a table, which I will provide, and making sure that we're visible at the polls.
That's great.
I have to be very careful with the American Legion, because at some point, when they deem what I'm doing is political, it can't be affiliated.
Well, it's
with
not
anything.
political, is really party politics. I worked in a nonprofit for 27 years. And so when you're doing stuff like this, yes, there's politics in the town for funding it and all that kind of stuff, but that's not the legal piece that affects a nonprofit. It's when you support specific candidates. That's when you get into trouble.
This is a utility. It's like supplying electricity, supplying phone lines, supplying sewage,
Yeah, service
streetlights, yeah.
or
It's just a
whatever.
municipal service.
Yeah, nonprofits don't get in trouble for stuff like this. It's really, supporting candidates. and
I
political
kind of like
causes.
to work up in my head some comparison against what Wiscasset went through getting cable and how badly they got screwed with it, as opposed to doing it municipally for broadband and being controlled of, in a control of it, and eventually getting money back from it.
That's
Yeah.
the case. That you got it, Larry. Let's work on that.
And then also
In
like
the
the,
simplest terms possible to be able to convey that to people.
and then also our plan B is also just like, that's the ideal form that we're going to look at, but then we're also not sour. Like if the town says, no, we're definitely not funding that, like we're not sour to trying to work with Consolidated or any other private company that wants to come in here and further it. So it's just like, first we want to investigate how well we could do. And then if that's not of the appetite of the town as a whole, then we still move forward and try and work to a private public partnership to get things moving and get everybody hooked up, because like with Consolidated, they're probably coming, but are they gonna get down every long driveway? And we still gotta be looking out for those people also. So it's like, that's the plan B if people are,
And
Stark
that's, those
against
are the
it.
people that the federal and the state government are more interested in.
right. for
Yeah, the
most
people
part.
that have nothing. are
That
the
have
ones
nothing.
that
But
are
at the
ones
same
they're
time,
most
the state's
interested in.
sitting there and waiting for people, if they're waiting for enough people to also have their ducks in a row. Would you say that as well?
Right.
Because it's like there's so many people that want, but they don't have enough relevant information and planning put together.
Yeah.
We've still got a long ways to go to weigh, to get the information to weigh municipal utility, working with these other two towns, and or public-private partnership, working with the other towns. So we've got still a long ways to go.
We got a long ways to go. The other
Before you figure
option,
out, Yeah,
if another option, but it's much longer term, is joining with another municipal utility or regional utility. And the most likely one would be Rockport if they get their ducks in order, because the towns do not have to be contiguous. And they would be of a scale.
But Dresden would be a better matchup.
No, you do all of them. All of them can.
Yeah.
No, in like this little group here merges into
The two towns.
potentially a bigger regional utility that's further ahead.
The bigger
If-
you are, the more power you're
Yeah.
gonna have.
Yeah, and
That's what
I was
Seth Hall
talking
wants to
with
do,
GWI's CEO Fletcher Kittredge. That's how Vermont is doing it. They initially, the Vermont was pushing the utility model anyway, but they started with 8 towns and then they got a lot more coming into 2 districts that they're working with. And it becomes easier because all the paperwork, the legalese is all done. The downside of it is that if it's an existing utility that you're merging into, you don't have any say on the bylaws. You're not creating that, it's already created for you, but we're not anywhere near that,
Right.
but it
And
is.
then the other option is the water district could expand, and
Right,
then the towns could just sign into a pocket of the district, of that district to run it. That's what Caribou is doing.
right.
So there's things that are all
What is the statewide reaction to broadband
as a whole.
as a whole?
It's part of the governor's strategic plan to get everybody fiber access.
The importance of it, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, no, what is how many are reacting the way we are? How
Oh,
many,
tell me.
what's the interest on the statewide level?
Oh,
Pretty
huge,
high.
huge.
we're gonna be competing with other towns for this money or whenever.
Yeah. So
There's
like
a
the
lot of
last,
competition,
we don't
yeah.
know how many applications were in the March round, but only, what, 8 got funded or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So there's,
So it's a
I'll
pretty
show you
long
the,
list.
I'll show you the map that the Broadband Coalition has.
Yeah, that's a good map. No,
It's, since I at least started paying attention to it in 2015, I mean, it's gotten more and more attention as people realize things become more digital and work is other kinds of applications. People can't get jobs without applying online. But the real clincher was the pandemic that elevated the importance of this, and people realizing what they already had was not up, they couldn't function very well.
Well,
Many people, not everybody.
yeah, but the homeschooling, I think, is the biggest problem that the state had. With pandemic. The kids not having the accessibility to,
Well, that was huge, yeah.
So this is a breakdown of just regional initiatives. So all these different polygons are all groups of towns that are working together throughout the state. And then when we figure in town things, all these little colored dots are all different town committees all over the
What's
state.
that
Yeah.
big regional one up there?
And that just has proliferated in the
Bangor,
last,
isn't it?
wouldn't you say the last,
Yeah,
since the
yeah, you're
pandemic?
probably right.
This one,
We
This is
had
East
it
Grand
before,
Lake
but not
on the
like
No,
border.
this.
no, you're absolutely right. The
So
number of
that's
town
like
committees and applications.
pretty,
That's huge.
that's an actual rural area. People
haven't
keep calling
seen that
Lincoln
map.
County rural, and this is not a
They
rural
just
area.
kind of
I know.
created
That
that.
is
so
a
it's kind of
rural area.
cool.
I haven't seen that map before. That's,
Yeah, it's still kind of in beta and they've been editing it. So they still, I don't even think have.
can you email that?
Sure can.
no, there's great
And
competition.
they're missing, and there's a lot of towns missing on it too.
But, if you don't have leadership in a town or somebody that understands at least some of this, it's really hard to position some of these towns to who are probably the most in need in terms of not having anything or being competitive. So that's why people like Evan were hired to go out and help towns.
So is this survey open to the public yet?
Yep, it's live right now.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Where'd you, on our committee website?
It's not online, it's just whoever's got the link to it.
Oh, okay.
So I've taken it, Marty's taken it.
Okay.
So the only matter is to put it on the town website and then just post it everywhere.
So other questions about it, or as far as the polls go, Larry, I'll talk with you about times that you think you might be able to cover.
Well, I don't want to do mornings because that's cribbage morning and I need to be there with the seniors doing that, but after 12:30.
Do they still have, where do they go? They still have a room somewhere?
Well, it depends on where they're going to do the voting. If they do the voting in the gymnasium,
Yeah.
our senior center is not even involved.
Gotcha.
That's what it was last time.
Yeah, and where's this is?
We can probably ask them before we leave. Wonder where it's gonna be.
Okay, so it would be after.
So if you
PM.
printed out some of these, I could take them to the.
Yep,
Together.
the only thing we needed to finish on it was for more information, who do we want to be the contact, and like this one I need to still edit because we have a broadband committee, but anyways, do we make I haven't asked Dennis about making a broadband committee email,
Oh, yeah.
something like that. I mean, it
Yeah.
can be done, but like, that's the thing that they're super sensitive about in this town.
Oh, I would have thought that Survey Monkey would be sending everything to you.
We have all of that, right? I'm talking about here on the bottom of the
If you send
sheet.
it individually.
For more information, contact somebody and send us an email here or whatever.
I mean, I don't mind being that person. You guys you're working, Larry's got the senior center.
Yeah, we just need to make sure that it's a Dennis question.
Okay,
Because like I said, Wiscasset you need to ask 10 people permission, and 7 reverends and a grandmother to make sure everything's okay.
Oh, on the questionnaire, we should have the drop off to see if people could drop it off. Instead of mailing it back, drop it off at the.
Yeah, that'll be on the cover sheet, so it's all about how we want to, if we want to attach it to this and make it all one thing, or what? Or how much more detail this needs for an intro sheet.
That's what I'm
Well,
saying,
if
you're
you can
gonna-
do this two-sided so that the survey could be done on the backside and mailed in or dropped off.
Yep,
That would be most effective.
Is the survey just 2 pages?
yep. And we added the question about the affordable connectivity program. So that might be different than what you have.
Okay, yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, we tried to really pare it down. That
Yes,
we
you
weren't
have,
going
you
to,
have.
we were not going to really use a lot of the detail that we saw in other surveys. And we wanted to make it short and sweet. So.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, somebody sees a 4-page survey and it's like,
The KISS
Well,
the
already
KISS
people don't know the
principle.
answers to some of these questions, so they're feeling bad anyway.
Yeah, we might, oh, let's do late on the survey. Should have put it there if you don't.
so I also want to just cover if there are speaking. You were contacted, weren't you, for the Legion? To present at the Legion?
Well,
What was that?
I talked to
Cliff,
Cliff.
Cliff,
Hendricks,
Hendricks, yeah.
yeah. And they were willing to have somebody stop by on a Wednesday morning,
yeah, Wednesday mornings, there's coffee and donuts, it's very informal.
and you can hand them that, they could fill it out right there. The only thing you wouldn't get is the speeds.
yep,
So is that something one of you wants to do or?
I think Evan would be better.
I'll be able to do it. It's just a matter of when. So I've just got to be able to plan it. It'd either be the 8th or the 22nd.
You know what the time is? You know what time?
I'd show up around 9:30. There'll
Gotcha.
be somebody there through 11 unless they've got a project, if they've got some kind of a project. Before Memorial Day, they were cleaning guns and getting flags ready and all that kind of stuff.
So let's make more lists of where we could show up. I don't know if all the groups in town meet during the summer, but there is the chamber, they meet, don't they?
They're gonna have an annual meeting. They're doing a lot of their meetings by Zoom.
Aren't they having a dinner right off?
Like in a couple weeks or less next week or something. They're having an annual meeting. We've talked to Pat about that.
Ask Pat. Yeah, I dropped the ball with Pat. She got back to me and I haven't.
To do anything you want her to do.
Okay, so I'll ask her the best way to get stuff out to the chamber.
But she does a newsletter every week or every other week,
Yeah.
so boom, boom,
Yeah, it's
boom.
almost every week.
Dawn, do you know if?
Maybe we could
actually,
just add it
Dawn's
to
gone.
the newsletter.
Never mind.
That's what I would do.
Disappeared.
Yeah, at least.
All right, I'm
Well,
gonna
you
hit,
could add this information right here
Yeah,
and see if we get responses that way.
can I move to adjourn the meeting?
What?
adjourn. Are we
Yes.
off? Why?
Well, do we have any? I mean, we got just
Let me
loose
see if
ends,
there's
just
anything
loose
else.
ends and we can kind of drift off
Just
into
messing with
whatever.
you. Yeah.
I know.
If you had these available, I
Yeah,
might be
I
able to
gotta
get
run-
with
I
Mike
gotta run,
Williams. or
sorry.
with the
What time is it?
master
I've lost
at
It's
touch.
the
like
Masons,
20:04.
and he could put them downstairs so they have coffee,
The library. You know,
Okay.
get them to the
very
library.
informal.
Yeah, we got to do the library.
How much time do you have right now?
Who else?
Do you have like another half hour?
What time is it?
It's almost 3:45.
Right, so that's a good
When
thing.
do you have
You
to
don't
be
have
outta
to
here?
rush
Well,
to get to
at
everyone,
this
but.
point, I-
No, Garden
I-
Club
I-
Friends
I had,
of
never
Wisconsin
mind.
or whatever they're
Yeah,
called.
I'm here.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you want to give me just a handful
Well,
of
and,
minutes.
and at the same time,
And there's the.
A lot of
churches.
those
You can
guys
just
are
give-
older,
you can
so
just
if you've
drop
got a
off
mailing
stuff,
on the
the churches are
backside,
Really engaged.
that's
You
gonna
can
be
just see
more
about
efficient.
Dropping
Yep.
off copies and,
And,
Yeah.
you know, this kind of stuff.
But
so.
there's also the
that's where I'm
talking
at.
with
Okay.
people as well. That's
And
the
you
other
had
side of
mentioned
it, not
the
just this. but-
fire.
I just don't know how many people are.
Well,
members.
I think that
Yeah.
we
let's
that's-
say,
want to
for
get our
example, the
ducks in a
Garden Club.
row
Yeah, they
and be
usually
ready
meet
to
once
come
a
to a
month and they
meeting.
have a speaker. But I don't know.
On a
I don't- I
Wednesday
don't- I
night.
don't- I'm not in the government.
And answer any
Broadband's
questions
not
they
the
have.
most relevant except.
Because
getting-
I think
a lot of people
there
vote
are
want it for
test monkeys, so to
information.
speak.
They're talkers, they're
I think
connectors.
that
The
they'll,
garden
once
club
we
ladies,
get,
oh my
they
God.
don't, right off,
you probably
they'll be
got
quiet right
2
off the
of
bat,
them,
but if you
so,
get 2 or 3 guys going,
But yeah, I don't know who heads the.
but
garden club.
Even
we
the
might come
yacht
to
club,
a
I
meeting
should
and there might
probably-
be 12 people there. We might come to a meeting and there'll be 18 people there.
Yeah,
I'll
just
develop a
depends
list and I'll
on
send it to you and Pat. and
What's
maybe
going
you
on? The
guys
chief
can
has already given the
embellish on
approval.
it,
You
know.
saw
Yeah,
that,
and it's-
so I
there's
don't-
no rush,
we don't
right?
have to
Because
ask
you-
for that.
You gotta get
No.
it out there
And
to
I-
people, but you've got some months.
They
to
have
do it,
their
I mean, a month. to
Business
figure it
meeting
out
is the
for sure.
first Wednesday of the month.
I don't know how long you're trying to wait to get.
Okay,
you
so
know,
we
survey
ought to
back
be
from
there
people,
on the first Wednesday night of the month, because there'll be
Well, as
more
I said,
people
my
there.
goal is not to
And
tell
there'll be
you,
less
it's
work
just to
going
use
on.
it.
Which
for-
is what Mark said when we were doing.
And
the
they're probably
original
gonna, I don't know,
surveys. He said,
I'll find out
"Look
whether
at
you
numbers.
want
We
you in
just
the
care
beginning of
about
the meeting.
Getting it out.
They have to
starting
hold
the
2
thing." So,
business meetings. They hold a
you
business
know, it's
meeting
not
for
a.
the town
X
fire
percent
department
said
and then
this.
the
Yeah.
Wisconsin Association
Yeah,
of
not-
Wisconsin
not-
firefighters. We raise
Alright.
money, that's our money, and we have to deal with that
I gotta scoot.
independently.
Talk
Thank you
about
for
some-
coming.
So-
It's
I'm glad
nice to
that-
see you.
I'm glad I could fit something.
That's
in.
what I'm up
Yeah, I
to.
had a United Way thing the other couple
You wanna
weeks
put
ago,
that
and I
on your
saw
schedule?
Michelle, and so it's just
Yeah,
good to
we're
see
gonna-
people. you
This
know,
month is tough.
Oh, this month is
Or I
already
see
passed.
Amy every once
Yeah.
in a while.
Yeah,
so-
You
Amy
said
and
the
I
first
are in
Wednesday.
contact.
When's
good,
the first
good.
Not
Wednesday
so
in
much
July?
Laura, but Amy, yeah.
Was that?
I just saw
I think
Amy
it's
2 days ago.
the 6th.
All right, no, keep.
Are
Well,
we
that
off-
might
are
work,
we
because
off?
that'll be after the 4th of July. If it had been the 3rd, it would have been bad.
We can adjourn
thanks.
now.
Are we adjourning, given the?